Well, Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
I was speaking with our congregational president, Brent Arnold, today, and he was telling me that it was a tough decision for him. There's the Bucks game. It's the sixth game of the Bucks versus the Celtics, Bucks in 6. And he's saying, I was having a hard time deciding about what I should do, whether I should be watching the service or I should be watching the game. And I said to Brent, I said, they've got DVR, we can record it. And he said, really, Rabbi, you would record the service for me? It's an oldie but a goodie. Sorry, Brent. Brent is at the game. We hope that they win, Bucks in 6. And at the end of the service, Linda Berlin, our congregational past president, is going to be making announcements, and she's going to share with us the score. That's her job, one of her jobs for Shabbat. Well, it is always so good to be together, to take the opportunity to say Shabbat Shalom, to wish each other well. In fact, Joseph Addison, who was a great thinker, said, what sunshine is to flowers, smiles are to humanity. They are but trifles, to be sure, but scattered along life's pathway. The good they do is inconceivable. So let's take a moment, and there are people here from, I think, all around the country here to celebrate not only Shabbat, but also Lacey and Melanie becoming Benot Mitzvah tomorrow. So why don't we take a moment just for everyone to wish each other a Shabbat Shalom. You can greet each other with a smile and with great sincerity as we turn to Shalom Aleichem in just a moment. So we are going to now turn to page 24 in our Siddur. That's page 24 in our Siddur, as we turn to the words of Shalom Aleichem.
We sing together.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitchem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
It's now a great joy to invite the Franklin family to ascend to the bima to call upon Amber and Scott and Lacey and Melanie as they have the honor of kindling our Shabbat candles. We are going to be turning back in our Siddur to page 2, and all of you bring a tremendous amount of light and goodness into our community and our congregation. Not only can we see the light beaming in from outside the windows, but we see the light emanating from all of you. And so we are going to turn now to page 2. That's page 2 in our Siddur as we kindle the Sabbath lights. Hold it there for just a moment.
Asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Let's all sing together.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner, shel Shabbat.
Now, Amber and Scott, you can return to your seats, and Lacey and Melanie, you are going to actually lead us in the beginning of our service as we turn in our Siddur to page 26. And we have the pleasure of hearing Lacey and Melanie lead us in the Chatzi Kaddish.
Yikadal v'kadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
B'yomar tivrach hirutei v'yamlich malhutei b'chayechon uvyomechon uvchayetecho b'Yisrael bagala uvizman kariv ve'imeru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam ulamei yomaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yir'uman v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitala shmei dekudasha b'rechu le'ela mincho birchata v'shirata tushvechata v'nechemata da'mihiram b'yama ve'imeru amen.
Yesher Koach and Mazel Tov. Tomorrow is going to be a wonderful day. We are going to call you back up to open up our Ark doors, as well as leading us in Kiddush later on in our service. But it is such a joy to have such wonderful Benot Mitzvah at our congregation. We have only the best B'nai and Benot Mitzvah here at Congregation Shalom. And so it is a joy to celebrate with you and your dear family. And so we are going to turn now to page 27 as we read responsively. Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer on the mystery of withered leaf, unripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days. Lest my day be today as the one before, lest routine set my ways. We now rise together as we turn to the call to worship, which can be found on page 28.
Baruchu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach le'olam va'ed.
We continue in the Hebrew on page 30. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, b'chochma poteach she'arim, uvitvuna mishane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, sader et ha'kochavim b'mishmerotehem berakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Uma'avir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uvein laila, Adonai tzevaot shamo. El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. We continue on page 32 with Ahavat Olam.
Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם הגה יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל.
We continue now with the watchword of our faith, the Shema, on page 34.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
You may be seated. We continue with Ve'ahavta on page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך. ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך. וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך. וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
We continue reading responsively on page 39. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקי הים לפני משה ומרים, זה לי, ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, לעולם, לעולם, לעולם ועד. ונאמר, כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
The bottom of page 43, we read together, "Give us a place to rest, Adonai our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are true protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim."
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
A thought has blown the marketplace away. There is a song on the wind and joy in the trees. Shabbat arrives in the world, scattering a song in the silence of the night. Eternity utters a day. We now rise as we turn to the tefillah, which can be found on page 46.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'imoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'Konei HaKol, V'Zocher Chastei Avot Ve'imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayei hakol atah rav lehoshia, Morid hatal, Mechalkel chayim bechesed, Mechayei hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim verofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayem emunato lishenei afar, Michamocha ba'al gevurot, Umido melach, Melech memit umechaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah lehachayot hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kedoshim b'chol yom yahalalucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
You may be seated, and we continue reading responsively on page 55. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth.
May all who struggle find rest on this day.
May all who suffer find solace.
May all who hurt find healing on this day.
May all who despair find purpose.
May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day.
And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu be'amecha Yisrael u'tefilatam be'ahava tikabel Tehi l'ratzon, Tamid avodat Yisrael. Yisrael amecha, El kirov lechol korav, Pnei elav adecha v'choneinu, Shefoch rochacha aleinu, V'techezena eineinu, Beshuvecha leTzion. Berachamim. Baruch atah
We turn now to the Hoda'ah on page 59, a prayer that reminds us to be grateful for all of the gifts that come our way. So I invite you to say this prayer with me at the top of page 59. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulcha na'eh lehodot. We continue now with the prayer for peace, Shalom Rav, on page 60.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim le'olam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim le'olam. V'tov be'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael v'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim le'olam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim le'olam. Tasim le'olam. Tasim le'olam.
The world is certainly in need of shalom, and certainly is in need of peace right now. And it's our custom at Congregation Shalom that we turn from a prayer for shalom to a prayer for shalem, a prayer for wholeness for members of our community who might need a sense of a refuat nefesh or a refuat guf, a healing of spirit or a healing of body. And particularly in our hearts and minds here at Congregation Shalom, we are thinking of Shendel Bakfrida Malka, Julie Borikoff, Margot Roz, Carol Dubin, Samsara Vizcaya, Sharon Rotman, Bob Radke, Lyle Rubel, Jean Bass, Alan Turner, Steve Toplinsky, Myron Dvorkin, Esther Cohen, Lisa Furstad, Terry Finch, Harav Ilana Miriam Bachava, Faye Levin, Hachazon Nisar Rachel Bat Yocheved Alexander, Tia Barrett, Wendy Salzberg, Steve Plotkin, Kathy Peltz, Avram Ben Naftali, Emma and Max, Doug Cruz, Nadiva Sara Batliba, Carol Rovner, David Goldstein, Marilyn Harmon, Chris St. Martin, Barry Bursack, Debbie Kelly, Janet Meister, Susan Sack, Raitza Tzvia Batshena Etta, Mary Frankowitz, Sophia Rubenstein, Alana Himmelfarb, Charmaine Hayden, Wendy Wiviet, Sue Weller, Kate Wilson, Yocheved Badrando V'chaim, Craig and Brenda Wickman, Walter Shapiro, Otto Feller, Avram Bat Frida, Marla Chikowski, Michael Saychek, David Rotter, Helene Wallenberg, Peter Becker, Natalie Cohen, Steve Isaacson, and Elaine Keller. If there are names that should be added to this list or names that should be pronounced differently than I did, I invite you to hold those names in your heart as we turn to the Mishaberach on page 253, and we say these words from our tradition, Baruch Atah Adonai, Rofei HaCholim, blessed are you, the source of healing.
Mishaberach Avoteinu, Avraham, Yitzchak, veYaakov. Mishaberach Imoteinu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, veRachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. Bless us with the power of your healing. Bless us with the power of your hope. May our hearts be filled with understanding and strengthened by the power of your love. Mishaberach Avoteinu, Avraham, Yitzchak, veYaakov. Mishaberach Imoteinu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, veRachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well.
We turn back now to page 62, and with these words of healing still echoing in our hearts and minds, we take this time for silent meditation.
Ose shalom bimromah, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru amen. Ose shalom bimromah, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru amen. Ose shalom bimromah, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו, ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. ואמרו אמן.
Well, Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
There's a story of a poor man who, walking in the forest, feels close enough to God to ask, God, what is 1,000,000 years to you? And much to the great surprise and shock of the man, God replies, my child, 1,000,000 years to you is like a minute to me. And the man thinks for a long moment and asks, God, what is $1,000,000 to you? And God replies, my son, $1,000,000 to you is less than a penny to me. It means almost nothing to me. And the man asks, so God, can I have $1,000,000? And God replies, in a minute. Well, I suppose time truly is relative, and time goes by in strange and mysterious ways. You see, a song came on the radio the other day, and it brought with it memories for me. I think we all might remember the first album we ever purchased for ourselves. Do you remember the first album you ever bought for yourself? Well, when I was a teenager, the first album I ever bought, not even knowing that I would one day move to Milwaukee, was Steve Miller Band's Greatest Hits. And perhaps it was foreshadowing that I would be drawn to a band from Wisconsin. But one song lyric always stuck out to me. Time keeps on slippin', slippin', slippin' into the future. Do you know that song? All right, good. Well, when I think that I heard that song for the first time probably over 30 years ago, and I think of where we are today, the lyrics certainly reflect a truth. Over the course of these years in which COVID has been a part of our lives, time has certainly been slipping in unusual ways. At the beginning of this year, seeing our young students in person, kids who I had only seen on Zoom in the prior year and a half, it was shocking how much they had grown. And that's certainly the case for the two of you, Lacey and Melanie. That's true for you too. I was asked just a few weeks ago when the last time I had been to Israel, and I felt confident saying it had been 2 years, but on reflection, it had actually been 4 years. Has anyone else had moments such as these recently, where you're trying to track time and trying to figure out, how long ago something was? It's a very strange feeling. I've heard it described as though we passed through a covered bridge, that we entered on one end and emerged on the other, and the time in between, it felt like a dream state, semi-detached from the typical points along our journeys that mark the passage of time. We have an unusual relationship with time. And when I was a child, I remembered endless free time, summers that seemed without end, and as we age, I feel as though time is moving faster and faster. And when my children were born, I was told to cherish this time, for it moves too quickly. And some of the cliches we're told about parenting, well, they hold some deep truths. The days are long, and the years are short. This week's Torah portion has a lot to say about time. In this Shabbat, we read Parshat Emor from the Torah, and included in this selection is chapter 23 of the book of Leviticus. And this particular chapter contained within its words are the commandments and descriptions of how to observe all the major Jewish holidays: Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, Passover, Shavuot, even Shabbat. All of them are bound to the cycles of time. And perhaps they are guideposts and mile markers on our journey, providing us with true understanding of the fleeting nature of time and the limits to our experiences here on earth. In Hebrew, the word for time is zman, and it shares a root with the word invitation, which is hazmana. And perhaps there is a message in that. What is time inviting us to do? I think it's inviting us to holiness. The Torah classifies holidays as Mikra'e Kodesh, or holy moments. Each one is to occur in its appointed time on the specific date of the calendar. In celebrating them, we make those specific times special. To be holy in Judaism is to be distinct, to be unique. Kodesh, holy, and all the words we know that are related to it, like Kiddush, Kaddish, or Kiddusha, refer to the notion of making a distinction. To make something holy is to make it separate from the everyday, the commonplace, and the ordinary. And this phrase from the Torah, Mikra'e Kodesh, is an interesting one. Literally, it means times you proclaim as holy. And I believe this is actually a gift to us from the portion. You see, there are the fixed times, the annual holidays that we proclaim to be holy. We make them holy because we proclaim them to be so. More than that, we're also given the ability to proclaim other times as holy. When we can take a break from our routines and focus on the goodness in our lives, we proclaim that a holy moment. When we gather together to celebrate a simcha, we proclaim that a holy moment. When we comfort and console one another in times of loss or pain, we proclaim that a holy moment. It is in our hands to make time holy by recognizing it is different, distinct, unique, and special. So now that I hope we have more freedom to plan our days, and I hope that we've emerged from the covered bridge, let us take a moment to dwell on the sacredness of our calendars. For our calendars are a reflection of our values, and how we fill them fills our days. One of my most favorite activities that I do with couples who are getting married is to have them take out their calendars. I guess that's what I used to do. Now I tell them to find their calendars on the phone and plan dates together, to make a concerted effort to plan times of togetherness that help them reconnect with each other. But it isn't simply an exercise that only has merit for our young couples. Each of us needs to connect to something or someone. Judaism in particular teaches us to engage with time in intentional and thoughtful ways. So on this Shabbat, this time of pausing, let us reflect on the way we can fill and organize the days of our lives. Let us think about what we value in our lives and carve out the time to actuate our ideals in the world around us. Let us connect with the people who love and care for us by thoughtfully planning the times we might spend together. And let us take some time for that which is greater than ourselves and connect to what is holy and sacred in our lives. For if time keeps slipping into the future, let us be certain that time is valued as precious, for it surely is worthy of cherishing. As Emily Dickinson once wrote, "In this short life that only lasts an hour, how much, how little is within our power." Let us now turn to the counting of the Omer, which we have been doing since the end of the second night of Passover all the way through Shavuot. It's a time that sort of, in a sense, it gives us the discipline of counting our days. But more importantly than that, it can be a reminder that we need to make our days count. So I'm going to invite you now to rise as we turn to page 278. And Melanie and Lacey, if you'd like to come up, and in just a moment, you are going to be opening up our ark doors for Aleinu. So why don't you come on up now? And we can all turn to page 278 as our cantor is going to lead us in our Omer blessing.
Hineni mukhan mzuman lekayem מצוות עשה של ספירת העומר. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו של ספירת העומר. היום 18 יום שהם 4 שבועות לעומר. Today is the 28th day. That is 4 weeks of the Omer.
Yesher koach. Let us make this time count. We turn now to page 282. That's page 282, and remain standing for the Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
You may be seated. We take a moment now as we turn to memory, as we think of those who have passed into life eternal, those who we have loved and lost here at Congregation Shalom. We are thinking of these dear people for whom we mark the period of Shiva. We think of Pauline Gale and Ruth Schaller. In addition to those names, we think of those for whom we are commemorating the period of Shloshim, the 30-day mourning period. We think of Noah Arnold, Ronald Cohn, Harriet Dizak, Adeline Dominitz, Jordan Fishman, Ellen Futterman, Cyril Newman, Cecilia Rinsky, and John Veal. In addition to those names, so too do we think of those who've died in seasons gone by, for whom we mark their yahrzeit. And though they have passed in times gone by, we still feel their presence with us as we walk in their footsteps. We think of Joseph Adelson, Pearl Latinsky, Molly Axel, June Berg, Beatrice Belansky, Mark Daniel, Bernice Ellis, Harry Emold, Ben Frank, Virginia Glass, Abraham Glickman, Ruth Glincher, Goldie Glass-Steagall Goldsmith, Suzanne Goldstein, Sherwood Gorins, Fred Green, Jean V. James, Irving Youngries, Helen Kaplan, Maury Katz, Beatrice Codner, Harry Kravitz, Lester J. Curzon, Pearl Curzon, Martha Levy, Charles Jack Lewin, Alan Lieberthal, Liebel Marcus, Rhoda Markey, Lena Nashbin, Ann Riches, Erica Richmond, Bess Rosenberg, Harry Albert Shopler, Betty Schuster, Bernice Stern, Sheldon Wasserman, Benjamin Weber, George Dewey Weiss, Francis S. Willens, and Benjamin Zeft. And if there are names that should be pronounced differently than I did, or names that should be added to this list, I invite you to call those names out loud as I look in your direction. In addition to the names of our loved ones, so too do we think of all those who've died due to war and or terrorism, all those who died in defense of this nation and allied nations' ideals. We think of all those who've perished due to this terrible virus that has stricken our nation, as well as the virus of racism and xenophobia. In addition to those names, too, we think of all those who perished during the Holocaust. Our griefs and sympathies are mingled as we turn to words sanctified by memory, words glorified by hope. The Kaddish Yatom, the Mourner's Kaddish, can be found on page 294. I invite you to rise now as one community as we recite these sacred words. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shmei Rabbah, b'alma divrach ute v'amlich malchute, b'chayecho uvyomecho uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'gala uvizman kari v'yimru amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mevorach Le'olam Ulamei Amaya. Yit Barach V'Ish Tabach V'It Pa'ar V'It Ramam V'It Naseh. V'It Hadar V'It Alev V'It Halal Shmei Dekudesha B'Richu. Le'ela Min Kol Birchata V'Shirata. Tush Bechata V'Nechemata. Da'amiran Be'alma V'Yimru Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabbah Min Shemaya. B'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace and peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And let us say, amen. You may be seated. It's now a delight to call upon Linda Berlin, who is going to share with us announcements, all kinds of announcements. Not just what's happening in our congregation, but what's happening in the Bucks game as we speak. So let's hear the score. It's always wonderful to share the beam with you, Linda. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Rabbi. It's early in the first, and it is 6-4 Boston. Long way to go. On behalf of President Brent Arnold and the Shalom Board of Trustees, I wish you all here at our beautiful sanctuary, and those of you joining us virtually this evening, a wonderful Shabbat Shalom. And Mazel Tov to Melanie and Lacey and the entire Franklin family. For the benefit of school families who are joining us virtually, just a few quick school announcements as we wrap up our religious school year. This Sunday, May 15th, is our religious school pancake breakfast for students and families. A registration would be appreciated if you've not already done so. To let us know attendance numbers, please email Mandy. Also on Sunday, Tikkun Ha'ir is collecting baby clothes and baby items here at Temple for their Glean Machine collection. Sunday, May 22nd, will be the last day of the school year, with a family learning day and concert. We have a few remaining May events and a look forward to June. Next Friday, May 20th, we will finally celebrate the installation of Rabbi Kozlowski. Friday evening's Oneg will feature a special concert from Dan Nichols, and on Saturday, Rabbi Kozlowski will be hosting a dog park Havdalah at 4 p.m. at Estabrook Park. We look forward to this very special weekend and to welcoming and meeting Rabbi's family from Kansas City. Please join us on Sunday, May 22nd for the Lag BaOmer program at Cedarburg Farm from 3 to 5 p.m. This fun family event will feature a hayride, track train ride, petting zoo, and bonfire, complete with marshmallow roasting and s'mores. Children 5 and under are free, 6 to 12 is $5, and $7 for all 13 and up. Please RSVP by calling Tia or Andrea in the office by this Wednesday, May 18th. And for the 2 June events, Friday, June 24th, we look forward to the long-delayed celebration of the installation of our magnificent Cantor Purper, where more events are being scheduled. Another really special event you will not want to miss. We also look forward to the Gary Paler Memorial Shalom Golf Outing on June 26th at Songbird Golf Club to help benefit our school education programming. And lastly, don't forget about our weekly Minyan service, Saturday Torah study and Shabbat service, and Thursday's What's New. I hope you enjoy this summer weather, and Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Yesher koach, and thank you, Linda. We are now going to turn to our Kiddush, and it's a joy to call upon Melanie and Lacey to stand together as they have the honor of picking up our Kiddush cup. Let's all rise as we join together in the Kiddush. You ready?
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, ba'achava u'ratzon hibrilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom tevilah, lemikra'e kodesh, zeher l'tzion Mitzrayim.
Kivanu v'acharta, ve'atanu kidashta, mikol ha'amin, v'shabbat kodshecha, ve'ahava u'ratzon, hinchaltanu.
Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh haShabbat.
Amen. L'chaim. Yasher koach.
Not too much. How was it? Yesher koach to both of you. We are so excited to be celebrating with you tomorrow. Our cup truly is overflowing with blessings because of all the goodness that the two of you bring. So we are going to turn now to our closing hymn this Shabbat. Cantor, what is our closing hymn for Shabbat?
Adon Olam this
Adon Olam.
evening, page.
321.
See, I can always count on my rabbi.
321.
Adon Olam Hashem alach B'terem kol yitzir nivra Le'et nasa v'chefzo kol Azai melech shemo nikra Ve'acharei kichlot hakol Levado imloch nora Ve'hu haya ve'hu hoveh Ve'hu yiyeh בתפארה והוא אחד ואין שני להמשילו להכבירה בלי ראשית בלי תכלית ולא העוז והמשרה והוא אלי וחי גואלי בצור חבלי בעת צרה והוא ניסי ומנוס לי מנת כל יוסי ביומק רב בידו אף כי דרוכי בעת אישן ועירה ואם רוחי גבייתי אדוני לי ולא אירא.
We turn to our closing blessing for this Shabbat. The closing blessing comes when you turn to somebody who you know or who you don't. You wish them a Shabbat Shalom. It's a blessing that can come with a hug and a kiss. You know it's appropriate. You know who you came with. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.